San Diego County Sheriff Kelly Martinez has said her department won't be complying with a new policy that aims to limit county cooperation with ICE, the Federal Immigration Enforcement Agency.
We'll hear more from Sheriff Martinez live on set in just a moment. But first, CBS 8's David Goffredson explains the new policy passed by the County Board of Supervisors that some say gives undocumented criminals sanctuary here in the county.
We cannot stand by while the Sheriff's Department continues to needlessly collaborate with ICE.
There was no shortage of public opinion last month when county supervisors approved a new policy limiting cooperation between the San Diego County Sheriff's Office and federal immigration agencies like ICE.
Stop using county resources to deport our community.
Look at all the county resources that people are using.
Opponents disrupted the meeting several times.
It is time for convicted violent criminal illegal aliens to be deported. Their families can go with them.
Supporters said the policy would help the immigrant community to trust local deputies when reporting crime.
And as an immigrant myself, I know firsthand what it means to be afraid to call for help when my family needed it.
When it comes to undocumented immigrants in county jails, the new policy requires a federal judge to sign off before the Sheriff's Department can transfer an inmate to ICE.
It says that if the federal government wants the help from the county, they need an arrest warrant. It seems pretty low bar, super reasonable. They have to get a warrant from a judge. You can't just have an agent, decide kind of unilaterally that there's a warrant.
In 2023, the sheriff transferred 25 undocumented inmates to ICE, according to the most recent data.
This proposed legislation, to me, seeks to prioritize the interest of illegal criminal immigrants over the safety of law-abiding immigrants and citizens.
A 2017 state law called SB 54 already allows the sheriff to cooperate and share inmate information with ICE in cases of violent illegal immigrants. But the new county policy prohibits cooperation on a lower level, federal civil immigration enforcement, for example, when an immigrant overstays their visa.
What this is doing is limiting the ability of the sheriff's office to cooperate with ICE on something that isn't for the most egregious crimes.
Immigration attorney Tammy Lynn says the new county policy is not that different from existing state law. In fact, 8 other California counties have enacted similar policies.
It doesn't deprive the local sheriff from already targeting the most violent offenders.
Even so, San Diego County Sheriff Kelly Martinez says her office will not follow the new policy, saying in a statement, quote, "The Board of Supervisors does not set policy for the sheriff's office. As sheriff, I will continue to follow state law." I took a closer look at that state law, SB 54. Here's what it says about a sheriff cooperating with ICE and a county policy that forbids it. A law enforcement official shall have discretion to cooperate with immigration authorities only if doing so would not violate any federal, state, or local law or local policy. David Goffredson, CBS 8.
Joining us now to talk more about how the county will work with Immigrations and Customs Enforcement is County Sheriff Kelly Martinez.
Sheriff Martinez, thank you so much for joining us.
Of course.
Let's start with what David Goffredson just listed, which was the wording that said you cannot do it if doing so would violate a local policy.
No, it says state or federal.
It doesn't
law.
say local.
Right.
Okay.
And the Board of Supervisors does not govern sheriff's policy, and I have the sole authority to run the jails.
Yeah, I wanted to follow up just on that exact point. Okay, so is this a dispute about what the policy says in your mind more so than the board trying to exert some authority over you in a way that you think is inappropriate?
You know, it's kind of both, but most predominantly for me, it's not allowing me to share information with ICE when they have a concern about an individual that they have reason to believe has violated federal immigration law. And really what I'm doing is following state law and only allowing them to talk to or to transfer people to them who violated very serious crimes: murder, rape, robbery, child molest, willful cruelty to a child, all of those things, drug trafficking. And none of us, I don't think anyone wants those individuals back into our communities. And that's really what this is about. I would feel awful if I were prohibited to allow ICE to know when someone's going to be released who's violated one of those laws, convicted of one of those laws, and goes back into our community and reoffends.
So let's just, so this County Board of Supervisors policy was passed on December 10th. That was about 6 weeks ago. And there was wording that said they'll take 180 days to figure out the best ways to implement it. So this policy isn't even active yet. They have 6 months to figure out how to implement it.
Yeah, so what they did was they directed the county administration officer to look at the policy and to see its viability. And so they'll come back after about 6 months, 180 days, and present to the board and ask the board whether they want to enact this as a policy.
President Trump was inaugurated today. He's widely said that he is going to enforce these deportations quickly. The CBP One app was already shut down. We know that other actions are coming quickly. One big question everybody wants to know, so does that mean, is the sheriff's office going to take part in purely immigration enforcement raids?
Yeah, I'm really glad you asked that. Not at all. We're going to continue to comply with state law. Immigration is a federal authority, not a local authority. Deputy sheriff will never ask you your immigration status or your country of origin. A deputy sheriff will never participate with Border Patrol or ICE in any immigration raids or anything similar to that. We just will enforce state law. And we do work with our federal partners to enforce those state laws. Drug trafficking at the border, things like that, for instance. We share information related to state law violations.
But not civil immigration.
Right.
And I do want to, for people who are watching, what do you keep referencing, we follow state law, we follow state law.
Yeah.
Tell us what you do to, currently, to follow state law when it comes to allowing federal authorities access to undocumented inmates.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that because it's a little confusing. So when someone's in the custody of the sheriff in the jail, ICE can ask the sheriff if they can have access to that individual for an interview. We ask the individual if they're willing. They have to consent and sign a consent form in their native language or language that they understand. If they do consent to that interview, ICE is allowed to access them the same way any other professional visitor would, like an attorney or someone who's representing them on a criminal case or something like that. Once ICE has done that interview, they can indicate to the sheriff, they can provide us some documentation that they would like to know the release date of that individual. Then we take a look at that individual's record, see if they have a qualifying conviction. In about 800 of the cases in 2023, for instance, they did not, and we denied ICE their release date. But if they do, there's, I think, 153 or so that year where they did meet that qualifying conviction based on state law. We let ICE know what their release date was, and then it's up to ICE's discretion whether they want to come and pick up that individual. They only picked up 25 of those individuals that they actually came to. They notified us that they were
So we're not
interested.
talking about a big number of individuals. We only have about 30 seconds left. I want to ask, but what about the kind of global perspective of this, that people think it's going to chill relations between immigrant communities and law enforcement, that people who are victims of crime might be afraid to call and ask for help?
Well, first of all, I'd like to let our communities know they should always call for help. If you're a victim of a crime, it doesn't matter your country of origin or your immigration status. The Sheriff's Office, I believe, has a terrific relationship with our communities, especially our migrant communities. We have a Spanish Academy, Citizens Academy we run a few times a year, and that just proves to me that we've got a great relationship. Those communities have asked me to do this. They don't want a convicted child molester, for instance, back in their community. So I feel very comfortable about what we're doing.
All right, so nothing is really going to change as far as how you've been doing it, and you believe that the community has a good relationship with the Sheriff's Department?
I do. I feel very comfortable about this decision.
All right. Sheriff Kelly Martinez, we appreciate your time, appreciate clarifying your perspective on this and getting that word out to our viewers out there to understand what's going to be happening and maybe chill a little bit of the fear about it.
Yeah, I hope so, because it's really a reasonable policy and it really works well.
And real quick, you don't know that the policy is going to be implemented?
You know, they'll come back to the board, the CAO will come back to the board, but if the board implements it, the only one that it will really have any effect over is probation. They can tell probation how to run their operation.
All right. Thanks so much.
Sure, thank you.
Thanks, Sheriff.